Hello and welcome back to Better Than Yesterday. Recently, we saw that 1STMAN, a really influential YouTuber in the men's self-improvement sphere, brought out a video titled The End of 1STMAN, where he was criticizing the self-improvement industry, for men especially, and where it was going, the type of path it is taking. And we felt that we'd want to give our opinion on this because we've been following him for quite a while, and I think he also is a reason that we decided to get into this industry ourselves. He's really been an impactful person and quite a big role model in self-improvement for us. So, Michael, I just wanted to ask, what was your initial reaction when hearing or when seeing this video of 1STMAN?
Yeah, it's good, man. It's funny when he first uploaded that video, you could see that the last few months that he's been posting videos here, he's sort of been taking a lot slower of an approach to what he usually does. And for those of you who maybe don't watch him, he's someone like you said, who's just been super influential in this space of men's self improvement.
Yeah.
I often, if there's a friend of mine, for example, who wants to get into self improvement, like a young guy who needs some good advice, the first YouTuber that comes to mind for me that I'm going to send to them is 1STMAN. I think in my role in the last few years, he's been very, very influential for me, man. Just
Yeah.
changing my mindset, allowing me to sort of view life in a long term mindset. So it's definitely someone that I look up to a lot, man. So when he uploaded this video, I was a little bit worried that he might be leaving the YouTube space. But yeah, man, I think there's a lot of interesting points that he made in the video, man. And obviously, the two of us, having a self-improvement channel ourselves, it's quite relevant to, what we do. And definitely wanted to give our thoughts on it, man. What do you think when you first watched the video? Like, what stood out to you, man? Because for me, there was definitely quite a few things he spoke about. Like you said, he even called out, specific people in the industry that we'll get into, guys like Tate and Iman Gadzi. So yeah, that's kind of almost where he started the video off here, where he was basically saying that some of the guys that are actually the face of the industry currently are scamming their own viewers. Let me know what your thoughts on that are, man.
Yeah, so it was really eye-opening when I first watched this video, and a lot of these opinions that he gave, I started thinking about it a lot. And even before he posted this video, I had my doubts on a lot of these YouTubers and influencers and on the messages they were giving and the way they promised their listeners to get wealth and how to become rich, and at such a young age. So what first came to mind is that as a young person going into self-improvement, you really have to be aware of who you're watching to and what you're allowing to influence you and what you put to mind, because it can really impact your viewpoint, and it can change a lot of how you see life and put extra pressure on you if it's not the right type of information that you're gaining.
It's so good, man. I mean, it's funny. I remember both of us, I think, we started watching self-improvement YouTube and the whole Red Pill sort of sphere, you could say. I think that's also a part of it. Men's self-improvement, it's all encapsulated under that sort of, they call it the manosphere, actually, the manosphere. And yeah, I think we started watching content like that probably 3-4 years ago, if not more. So I've probably gone through the whole list of YouTubers in terms of guys on the platform who are giving advice. I mean, 1STMAN, like I said, has been extremely influential and probably my favorite over the last how many years, simply because of the authenticity that he brings. And I think what he called out there is quite true, that he said how some of these guys are selling this idea of, they're selling you basically how to get successful when they themselves aren't actually that successful. And that's what he spoke about, which is very interesting, man. And at the end of the day, it's quite an easy trap to fall into in this space of being a self-improvement YouTuber. And I think that's something that we've from the beginning, to be fair, I think we have looked out for that in terms of us doing that on this channel. We've always sort of spoken about how this is just almost us documenting our journey into eventually becoming, hopefully like a high value man and becoming wealthy and successful in different areas of life. But we've never really sold it as like,
Exactly.
oh,
Yeah.
we're already successful and we're telling you this is how to do it, step 1, step 2, step 3. You know what I mean? I think we always sort of sold it as this thing of like, we are currently on that journey and we're just documenting, the process. But I see a lot of young
Yeah.
guys, bro, like even guys who are my age and living in the same area who have podcasts that are also on men's self-improvement, but they're sort of selling the image of themselves where they are just like already this high value man who gets tons of women, and they're just like, oh, this is how to get as many women as you can possibly get. And then they also like they end up just trashing women, in their videos. So I think there's a lot of valid criticism that you can throw at the men's self-improvement industry, and people do. I think 1STMAN is obviously one of the first guys I think who's like from inside the industry to come out and do that. But
Yeah.
obviously, like a lot of people view like Andrew Tate quite negatively. Obviously, there's all those news articles that try and like slam him and so on. So I think there's a lot of the criticism is quite valid. But also a point I want to get into, man. But before I do that, just the fact that I still believe that there's a lot of good that comes out of the self-improvement industry. But yeah, man, I think another thing that he also spoke about, which is quite true, I don't know if you would relate to this, man, is that
Yeah.
watching self-improvement content almost just makes you feel productive. So it's almost tricking young men into just if the thing is, if you're not taking action on this stuff, it's almost like you're watching these videos and you're like, okay, I'm doing something productive. I'm hearing all this advice about, okay, how to become successful. But a lot of guys, a few years down the line, haven't actually made any big changes to their lives because they're watching these
Progress.
guys, but they're not really putting what they say into practice. And sometimes, like you just said, even if you were to put what these guys say into practice, they might not be giving you the right advice. So you've got to be careful, man.
Advice. Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, what are your thoughts on that, man?
Yeah. So I think I've also like fell into this trap where I would think that okay, to be productive today, I'm just gonna to watch like a self improvement video, and once I've like finished watching that video, that's my portion of being productive. But then I haven't really done anything productive in real life. I haven't went out and cleaned the yard, just done something. So it's like it kind of tricks you into you shouldn't watch entertainment, like for
Yeah,
example series, but you're binge watching these self-improvement videos because you feel good about it. But if you're not going to be applying it in your life, it isn't as impactful. And I think then it's the same thing as watching series and being entertained by it. So
yeah, it almost is. Yeah,
you shouldn't trick yourself into that process. So I think an important way of doing it, or like strategizing your self-improvement journey, is watching one video for the day and actually going out and trying to apply what you've just learned within that video, because that's actually how the real change is going to be happening. But yeah, there's a lot of self improvement tips that they give you that realistically you can't immediately be like applying it in your life. And a lot of the time these influencers will be giving you tips until a certain point, then they say no, you'll have to buy our program
yeah,
to get the rest of this information. And as a person trying to improve themselves, you could be really gullible and say, okay, this last key of information is probably going to be exactly what I need. It's going to be that wake up moment in my life, and I think
sure.
let me invest into this and get this piece of information. But at the end, it doesn't help you, because why are they selling these programs over and over again? And yeah, I've seen a few of these YouTubers that would say this is the key that I haven't been telling you for a while, like a year back, and then a year later they'll come out with the same narrative but just portrayed in a different way. It's like, didn't you already give us the key information? Why are you giving something else again?
Yeah,
So you really have
absolutely.
to be careful with this and not be led by these false guys. You have to actually identify who the genuine guys are that are going to be giving you true advice, that have actually learned a lot out of it. And yeah, in that, I would actually like to ask you, do you have a few guys that you can recommend to our listeners today?
Definitely, bro. Definitely. Definitely a few guys
Yeah.
that I could recommend in terms of the men's self improvement space. Yeah, I mean, to answer the question, obviously, 1STMAN. He said he's going to be keeping all of his old videos up, which is great news. I think he's been someone who hasn't really sold that image of success as a one-time quick formula that you can just follow. You know, I think the thing that you can look out for is just when they say success is just one or two steps that you can follow and then you'll be successful. You know, you've got to be a bit worried because unfortunately it's just not that easy here. Life can throw you many curveballs, and 1STMAN always acknowledges that. So I
Exactly.
think he's definitely good. You know, still relatively small YouTube channel in comparison to guys like another guy who is very good as well. Hamza is also great. I mean, these are guys that we've spoken about in this channel, but guys like you mentioned earlier, bro, that have almost inspired us to do what we do right now. And yeah, I mean, I think these are the kind of guys that made me want to get into self improvement in the first place, and even start my own channel, like where we're having these kind of conversations today. And let me think of a couple other channels. I think How To Beast. I mean,
Yes.
he could be guilty in the fact of what 1STMAN was saying about the courses and so on. He's also got a few like courses like that. But I used to just watch his free content on YouTube, and he has some very like good stuff that I feel like was quite inspirational to me and also helped me to grow quite a lot. Even guys like Casey
Yeah.
Zander, more on the Red Bull side of things. Yeah, quite a few different names. But we'll probably leave some links down below of people that we think could be of use to you. But one point that he made in his video, man, that's in relation to what you've just said, is he sort of said that most of these guys, who are watching self-improvement videos, their life hasn't changed much in the last few years. And I think that's true. Like we said, if you're not putting into practice what these videos are telling you, then it's not going to happen. But he mentioned, okay, these videos are telling you how to become successful, how to get in shape, how to get women, and he's like, but have any of you actually like got that, And I sort of thought about my own life, and I must say, like, in all of those aspects, things have improved for me in the last like few
Yeah.
years. I'm obviously not extremely wealthy yet. Obviously, still working towards things, finishing up my studies, working a part-time job, saving up things on the side, doing different investments. Things haven't really paid off on that side yet, but I'm definitely further along than I was. I've probably
Yeah.
made a few first mistakes that I had to make before that success comes along. So definitely further along
Yes.
there. I mean, a couple of years back in high school, I used to be like this skinny fat guy with no muscle. So again, now I'm on a journey where I can actually see some really good muscle definition, and I feel so much stronger than I was. And yeah. So these kind of things, I must say that self improvement has actually pushed me and pulled me out of a lot of dark places. And even that, in high school again, I didn't really have the confidence to speak to girls that much at all. I didn't really have much success with girls in high school at all. But since then, I've been very lucky to get an extremely amazing girlfriend. So definitely blessed
Yeah.
on that front. But I think self improvement has allowed me to get into those spaces. So I wouldn't say, and he did point this out, that if your content as a self improvement YouTuber is still helping men, and you genuinely believe that, then there's nothing wrong with making this kind of content. So yeah,
Yes.
I think for a lot of young guys, it can still be quite life changing, as it was for me. Yeah, man. What are your thoughts on it? I know, like, how has your view of self improvement changed, maybe over the last few years, from when it first was this like crazy life changing thing for us? Has it sort of like dampened your view now? What do you think?
Yeah. So what I would say is that what I got out of this video is you have to remember why you got into self improvement, and that initially is to get respect in real life and like build up a really good reputation, because I think a lot of guys get into self improvement because they don't feel that at a place worthy of that respect.
Man,
So
I can relate to that.
if you're getting into if you're getting into self improvement, you have to remember that you're building your life in reality, and it's not about this clout, this whole narrative that is behind what the self improvement or the high value men like sphere is now, where it's changed into always bashing women
Mm,
and saying that you shouldn't go for this woman who sleep around a lot, but you're actually going for them, or you should be this rich multimillionaire with a cigar in your mouth, like just being the Mr. Man, like alpha guy. That I think that initially wasn't why we got into self
mm,
improvement. Yes, it was to become like more alpha and dominant, but not in the way it's being portrayed right now. So initially it was to improve ourselves and to become the best versions of who we are. And that is why we do self improvement. It's just to make life better for ourselves. But
give
now
yourself those advantages.
what yes, give yourself advantages, and just educate yourself on how you can be an asset to the world,
Yeah,
what value you can add, because that's being a high value man. It's because you're adding a lot of value to others' lives. But now it seems that you're taking value from others by being a high value man, and
mm,
that's completely contradicting. So yeah, what I've realized is a lot of men at this point in self improvement are getting this mindset of you have to rush and you have to be successful right now, and it should happen instantly. But what we've learned before is that it takes a while. There's going to be a lot of lessons that you learn. And with First Man, especially the male advantage that he sold us, saying that you're only going to be reaching your peak in your late 30s, that's such a realistic way of looking at things. And if you were to look at your dad's life and look where he
yeah,
started, in his 20s, he was grinding, but he wasn't necessarily doing good at, not doing good, but like making the kind of money that he's making right now.
mm,
So, and then were you to follow his life journey, looking into him going into his late 20s, into his early 30s, you start seeing that the work that he was putting in back then is only starting to pay off now. And that's very realistic compared to what we're seeing now. No,
yeah.
being a millionaire at 21, you can't have a 9 to 5 job. Not everyone is going to be an entrepreneur. Each of us have been given different gifts by God, and you have to follow that, because not every entrepreneur is going to be successful. We're only seeing the mere few ones that have made it. And a lot of these self improvement YouTubers right now just came into the space because they saw an opportunity of desperate young men
Mm.
who are looking for guidance, who really wanna like be better and be of value. But
Started
now
to exploit them
they're
at the
just
end of the
using
day.
them for their gain. Yeah.
Mm.
So now you'll see that a lot of the times the benefits are going to the creators and not to the subscribers. Their lives aren't really changing tremendously. Yeah, that's my opinion in a nutshell of what's currently
Yeah,
going
man.
on. And yeah.
I think sort of concluding thoughts that I get on on the whole thing, man. I think it was a very like well thought out video. You know, he was sort of
Mm,
reading from his phone the whole time about
yeah.
what he thought of the industry, and yeah, it was a lot of passion in there, but a lot of it was well thought out. You know, they weren't just like
Mm,
rash accusations and things that he'd been made. These were observations that he'd been
no.
making over years and years. So, and I can definitely see it. You know, having been like we just said, you know, part of this industry essentially more as a consumer maybe and a viewer for many years, but now even as
Mm,
creators, you know, I think the industry probably what I get is that the industry definitely needs maybe a new face
mm,
of the industry. You know, you could say that in the last little while, Andrew Tate is probably who comes to mind when you think of the
yeah.
face of the Red Pill and the self improvement industry. And
Mm,
you know, yeah, that guy's got no end to his controversy. You could give your opinion on him, but at the end of the day, he's done some good, he's done some bad. I'm sure of it, and I don't have much to say about him as a human being. But I think as a self improvement creator, I think we need to look to then sort of reinvent the industry. First Man's just said that he
Yes.
feels like he's already given to it as much as he can, and now he's moving on.
Mm.
But I think as guys like ourselves who are two young guys who are currently trying to build up a community
Mm.
in this area, I think we should take that more as a challenge to be like, okay, well, how are we going to reinvent it? I don't think you should just burn it all and say, okay, there's nothing good to be
No.
gained from self improvement. And
Mm.
obviously, I think First Man's got every right to walk away. He's already been making videos for years. He's already been giving out very good advice for years and years, and impacted thousands, if not millions, of people. So he's got every right to do that. But I think we shouldn't let him walking away discourage us from being like, okay, cool. How are we going to reinvent this industry? Maybe to give it a different face, a different direction of where it's going to go instead of.
Mm.
And I think the better thing to be would just to rather push men towards having substance. And yeah, he spoke
Yes.
about that in the video, and I think that's sort of what I take away from
Mm.
it as well. Is that right now the self improvement like face and almost name is it's almost like you're just showing off. You got a Bugatti, you got a cigar in
Exactly.
your mouth, you got a 10 on your arm. You're doing you're
Mm.
like you're sort of showing off, and it gives the appearance of being very successful. But as First
Mm.
Man pointed out, a lot of these guys who are doing this aren't actually very successful. So we should push ourselves and other men to be men of substance who are actually building something, like you said, man, in the real world. And yeah, men
Mm.
of substance rather than men who are just flaunting and showing off a bit. So
Exactly.
yeah, man, it was very interesting, and
Yeah.
I could I could speak about this kind of stuff all day, man. I'm very passionate about this whole self improvement
Mm.
industry, man. And yeah, I'm looking forward to see what First Man will actually, what kind of content he's going to start to put out. But I think he's contributed
Mm.
a lot, and I think we can only do our best to sort of take on the baton and continue to build up the self
And
improvement industry
continue.
ourselves, man.
Yeah, and helping the industry to uphold, or to rather, let's say, gain a good reputation
Yeah.
again. And yeah, the last piece of advice I would give to young men, even young women that are looking, or that are really involved in self improvement, is to not let self improvement change your identity. It shouldn't consume you, but it should rather improve your current identity and who you are. You shouldn't change totally who you are by the advice that's given. You should remain genuinely and authentically yourself, and like our channel just says, like being better than yesterday, so being a better version of yourself compared to yesterday. The last thing as well, it would be that you should follow and look up to role models who've already achieved a lot in life, that have
That's good,
actually,
man.
like that have evidence of showing the real life substance that they have. So there's a lot of books that you can read. There's a lot of like older men that you can actually also watch on YouTube that wouldn't necessarily identify as like self improvement guys, but they give so much advice. For example, Rich Dad Poor Dad. Yeah, he's
Mm.
also got like impactful messages and advice that he can give you, especially in building wealth and just getting out of the rat race. Yeah, so I'm excited to, like you said, to see what First Man brings out, because what he mentioned is he wants to actually show us what the life of a real high value man is like in reality, like with his streaming platform that he's just brought, like show us how business is being done in reality, kind of like a documentary, and just, yeah, just guide us in that sense and motivate us to keep striving towards it, and showing us actually like what the other side of the male advantage looks like. So I'm excited to
Very
see
excited,
what he
man.
brings out.
Very excited. I think
Yeah.
we'll have to get him on for a collaboration sometime soon. Then we can
Yeah.
really pick his brain, man. So hopefully, not too far away, we'll get him on, man. I would
Mm.
love to work with that guy in the future. I think yeah, man, he's an inspiration for sure. So yeah, that was our thoughts. That was our thoughts on the end of First Man. I think it's the end of First Man
Yeah.
as we know him, but definitely not the end as a whole. And yeah, we like we said, we're gonna be aiming to only improve our content and also just maintain that authenticity. I think, you know, we say that
Yeah.
now, and obviously as things begin to grow, as this channel and this community begins to grow, yeah, I hope everyone would keep us accountable in that. Yeah, we don't want to be those kind of guys who are just trying to get value
Mm-mm.
from you, but rather the goal of this channel, as always, should just be
Is
giving
to give
value
value.
back. And yeah, as a community, like you said, man, just being better than who we were yesterday, and creating a better world, man. And exciting stuff, man. I
Yeah.
think the future is bright if we put in the work. So let's get to it, man. But yeah, I appreciated your thoughts, man. It was good. It was great to hear some of the things you had to say, some of the insights. And yeah, I hope you guys listening have enjoyed hearing what me and Daniel had to say. If you did, please consider leaving a like on this video, as well as subscribing, following us here on Better Than Yesterday, and sharing this video or this episode with a friend that you think might
Mm.
enjoy it. Maybe they know who First Man is. Yeah, let us know in the comments what you thought of his video. Maybe you didn't agree with what he said so much. Let us know. But apart from that, that was it from us, and we'll see you in the next one. Much love from Better Than Yesterday.